Well, Steve White, Steve Arts 89. Well, what can you say about the Star Wars prequels? I just watched all three, of course. I'm doing a marathon. Um, God, episode one. I mean, I remember waiting in line to see episode one, being the three last people to get into the theater that night, and being like literally on the side of the front row, like the worst seats possible. But it was a huge event, and like a lot of people said, we didn't really realize how bad it was till afterwards. But it was just amazing to see more of the Star Wars world. But it just doesn't age well. I mean, the worst factor out of anything, of course, is Jar Jar Binks. The use of slapstick comedy throughout the large battle scene towards the end, I don't know what George was thinking. I really don't know what George was thinking. I can't believe there wasn't anyone to check him and say, yeah, no, no one wants this ridiculous slapstick character. I don't know if he was trying to make the film for kids, if he felt like the original was for kids and it had been taken out of his hands and made for adults, but it really just dragged the whole franchise down and made it less serious, and you just couldn't take it serious. Visually, the whole film has this soft CGI quality, and none of it looks real. You just feel like you're watching an animated film. Now, I'm not sure if I think they might have. I don't know if they filmed on film or if they put it on film, but I think maybe my Blu-ray version has had some NDR, noise reduction, or whatever it is. Maybe it's that on top of bad CGI, but it looks woeful. And no part of it looks real or interesting. The underwater city was a beautiful design, but it looks like a cartoon. Just so many elements of the film just do not work. But I mean, it's still fun. Some of the battle scenes still are interesting. I mean, the ones in space, the ships look great. The characters have been introduced to, the young Obi-Wan. But then the biblical things, the villain Darth Maul, who's basically just this absolutely one-dimensional Satan insert. I mean, the endless Ben-Hur, pod racer thing. It's like, now either way, it cost 115 million and it made what was it, a billion? 1.1 billion and 441,000 basically. So it was a huge hit. It funded the next couple of films, and what else can we say about it? It came out in 1999, and it was a huge cultural event. Now, the second film, however, cost the same amount of money, 150 million, but only made 653, and it's the better film. But it still has some issues. I don't think Hayden Christensen's acting is bad. He definitely is struggling with the green screen, but it's not so much the romance parts that I have the problem with. It's more the anger, the fact that he's so immature and just doing so many things based on fear, and yet he had all these years of Jedi training, but yet that stuff hasn't been addressed at all. It's not particularly believable. They're the same length. Yeah, no, actually, it's 5 minutes longer. The first one was 2 hours and 15, and two is 2 hours and 20 minutes. There's a lot of improvements. We see this planet city, which is we're mostly seeing it at night, which helps. We have we see is it Naboo, where the princess, the queen, whatever she is, Armadale. I can't even pronounce her name now. It's beautiful, but there's some CGI that still doesn't work. The whole film looks better. It looks more realistic. It has a darker palette. It still feels very animated, but it doesn't feel like a cartoon. And the chases over the city are amazing. It's much better, much better. I'm kind of blending the second and third film together, but the third film it really did I mention how much this film it only made? How much made? Only made 653, so that's like a third less. Now, unfortunately, the next film, which was the same length, it actually cost 2 million less. Shock horror, made 868, so not a billion. But the excitement over the first film and just having a new Star Wars film was just so much. Um, yeah, so it's kind of hard to compare it to like another trilogy, how that would work, because usually it's either up or down with the budget. But with this film, just from the start, the that first front loaded battle scene where we have the ships, and then one of them ends up crashing is amazing. I thought that was the end of the film. That was the film for me. But the visuals, the ships, it all has a realistic look to it. Finally, the CG looks like actual realistic items. The rendering is done properly. It looks real. But Anakin's decline just, it, like I said, it doesn't seem realistic that he went through all these years of training and got this far, but yet they haven't addressed any of the anger or insecurity or immaturity that he has. And he's just from the beginning of, I think, the second film, he's constantly questioning, attacking, being, motivated by fear and anger. And it's just really on the nose. They should have gone for something more subtle. The politics are interesting because we're seeing America go through a similar thing now where, they're trying to dismantle democracy, and the idea that some people actually want a dictatorship, they want to be led, and then the rest just, don't have a choice, they just go get taken into it. It's kind of interesting to watch it happen. God, the betrayal, the killing of the younglings, a lot of it's actually kind of horrific and disturbing. The queen, I keep calling her the princess like she's Princess Leia, but her dying over nothing, it still makes no sense. I don't know why they didn't just have her basically escape with the children, or at least with Leia, and the idea that, I don't know, maybe she, there must have been some better way to do it, and just have her die later, because Leia does say that she remembers her mother in the third film, but whether that's actually not Amadea, I can't pronounce her name, I can't remember it. I want to say Amadea, it's not. But the fact that she thinks she remembers her mother, it's probably her adopted mother that she's remembering because she did die in childbirth. But, had she just died, but the fact she talks and tells Obi-Wan that Darth still has good in him and all that, and then just dies, I'm like, she's already heard her children's cries. I'm like, how do you not want to live for your children? I understand the idea of dying with a broken heart. It does happen, but usually to elderly people who've lost their partner or something like that, or parents who lose their children, that it does happen. But in this context, it just doesn't work. And Darth Vader's Frankenstein's like stepping off the thing they've got him strapped to repair him and everything. It's a bit much, and the no is so comical. It's like I don't even have to exaggerate too hard. It's and when the credits come up, written and directed by George Lucas, he's like, yeah, I can see how a few of those things happen, but still, it's the best of the lot, and he improved. And you do see a progression over the films. It goes from this child's experience, it's very immature and kid-like, then you get to the teenage era of this guy where it's very immature, but a little darker, a little edgy, a little bit more realistic, and then we get to the end where it is a lot more realistic and it is very dark, and the betrayal and everything has its own weight. So overall, the trilogy is good. The prequels now have been revised post sequels, and a lot of people, like Enterprise with Star Trek, are revering them more than, in their day they were, Star Trek Enterprise sort of had that same prequel problem. People had a bit of an issue with it, but ultimately enjoyed it, but still there was a stigma. And then the sequels kind of just took the focus away and made them look a lot better in retrospect. But I don't know, I like them a lot more. There are a bunch of scenes that I was enjoying, some of the action, some of the particularly the third film, the action scenes and the effects and the ships, everything is so much better. but it's so hard to go back to this sort of childish simplicity that sort of was episode 1, and then after you've sort of already, I guess if you start there, because I watched the original trilogy because chronologically they were produced first, and then I decided to go chronologically by franchise, and I thought I'd do the prequels, do the special edition, and then do the sequels and throw in Solo and Rogue One in between. And it's kind of jarring. I think if you start off from episode 1, it actually kind of almost works. If you don't know Star Wars can be better, you might be able to, but it's still, I don't think there's any way to really, really redeem it. It just doesn't look good, doesn't age well, episode 1, but then we get better and better, and it ends off, at a Star Wars level. But I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think. I'm heading into Solo now, and starting the second leg of the marathon.